it is completely ridiculous. And what we're seeing is the government attempting culture war issues once again to drive a wedge in between and put a bit of a chilling effect towards what are entirely legitimate protests against what is happening in Gaza at this moment in time. And I'm very proud to say that I've attended many of the protests protesting the bombardment in Gaza, and they have been entirely peaceful. I think there've been more. I think on average, there's more arrests at a football match than a protest. And the last one had 500,000 people attending. So this is just the government's way to drive a bit of a wedge into what is a very peaceful movement for people, essentially centred around a call for peace. And that is the most absurd things about this. For Suella Braverman to describe these marches as hate marches is just so beyond the reality of what they actually are. It could not be further from the truth. And one of the things that I would like to highlight, so I'm a Jewish Labour Party member, and I've been on these marches with hundreds, if not thousands, of other Jewish people who are all calling for peace in the Middle East. You know, the horrors that were committed on the 7th of October, were absolutely abhorrent, unspeakable horrors. But as I've said all along in this conflict, one crime does not justify another crime, and that is why hundreds of thousands of people have been out on the streets every single weekend. We've seen direct...
Do you feel, as a Jewish man, when you read mainstream media stories, that they tend to portray the sort of Jewish attitude towards what's going on, Israel versus Hamas? The mainstream media just portrays there's just one thought that... and yet it's far more nuanced.
That in itself is leaning towards anti-Semitism, because we are not one homogenous mass. You know, there is a tradition within Judaism to stand up against oppression, to stand up against injustice, and that is what myself and many hundreds of Jewish people across this country have been doing throughout these recent weeks, and we will continue to do so.
Martin,
so for the government to try and criminalise that is an absolute disgrace.
Martin, thank you.